Good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you have had a good day so far and that you will learn a lot with what we are going to do here today. I am Auntie Mariana and I'm going to be presenting this. If you do hear another voice in the background, that will be Auntie Serena. She's the organizer and she will see whenever somebody has a question or so and then will speak to me. So if you hear another voice, that will be her. Okay, so let us start. Let us just go through all the basics quickly. If you are struggling to hear me, make sure your audio is on and that your speaker volume is turned up. I have turned up mine right to the top so that you guys will be able to hear me clearly. You will automatically be muted when joining this session. Should you have any questions, you can ask your question in the question box below or to the right, or you can raise your hand. You will see there's a little icon on your right-hand side. You just click on that. It looks like a hand that's raising, and then Auntie Serena will know that you want to ask a question. Download this presentation and additional resources in the handout box, which is also either below or on the right-hand side. You will also find all this information in the question box below or on your right. Remember to send us your questions. You guys are encouraged to ask questions, leave comments. However, irrelevant or inappropriate comments will result in an attendee being dismissed from the session. If we did not get your question, please send an email to academics@impact.co.za. Questions in the question box will be answered and made available afterwards. If you did not receive the questions and answers, you can also just inquire with an email to info@impact.co.za. And then this will be available on YouTube as well, and there you will be able to see the link to the YouTube. Okay, let us start. So for term 2, we have a little bit of work in Word and some in Excel as well. So the first thing that you need to be able to do in Word is your bulleted and numbered lists. Now you know already that if you use a bulleted list, that in home you just click on the bullets drop down arrow as I have in the screenshot here below, and then you can choose if it must be either a circle or a square, filled with black or without filling, or a smiley face or anything like that. But you also need to go a little bit further. And if you go down in that same window, you will see there's the words define new bullet. So if you click on that, then the following will come up. What we can do now in grade 10 and what you're going to get questions about in your exams as well is to use a symbol for a bullet. So if you click on define new bullet, then the window that's on the left-hand side of your screen will appear. And because we want a symbol, you would then click on symbol. You will see there's a picture button as well that you are going to learn how to do next year. But for this year, you only need to be able to do the symbol. So if you click on symbol, then the normal symbol box that you guys did last term will appear. So they will maybe tell you which symbol you must use, or they will tell you to use a character code with a specific number or a specific font, normally in either Webdings or Wingdings. You will definitely find it there. If you have chosen a symbol and you said OK, then in the preview box of your define new bullet window, the symbols will appear. And then if you click on OK, then it will be in your list. This is a very nice option to use, and it's something different from just the normal bullets that we are so used to. Now we get to tab stops. To do a tab stop, you need to have the ruler at the top of your screen. If you guys have inserted a new office or anything like that and there is no ruler, if you go to view in your Word doc, in your Word view, then you will see there's an option there where you can click next to ruler and then it will show. So we do need the ruler for tabs. And if you look in the top left-hand corner, you will see this top screenshot that I gave you, right underneath paste. You will see there's a little button with a marker. That marker is a tab. At the moment, I have the left tab selected there because the corner is showing towards the left. If you click on that button, it will become a center button. And if you click on it again, it will become a right button, which means that the corner will now show to the right. And if you click on it another time, it will give you a decimal tab. It is very important that you understand exactly how to get to the different tabs. Listen to me very carefully, guys. I have shown you a screenshot here with these little triangles that you see usually at the top of your ruler. That is not a tab, it's indents. So if the question asks for tabs and you use those little triangles to drag onto your ruler, you will immediately lose all your marks for the tabs because those are not tabs. And tab stops can have quite a large amount of marks in the exams, so you don't want to lose that. All right, let's carry on. Now, how do we insert a tab? So first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that your tab stop is at the right setting. At the moment, I have got the left tab selected. And then you place it on the ruler. You will see in the screenshot, there's a tab placed at 3 centimeters. So all you do is you go to your ruler, you click just to the bottom part of the 3, you click on that, and then the marker will appear. And so at the moment, we've got a left tab at 3 centimeters. And all you now need to do with the text, which is in your document, is you press your tab key on your keyboard and it will shift all the text right underneath the 3 centimeter tab. You can also go a bit further and you can use leaders. In other words, they can tell you, you must put a leader at 15 centimeters. Now, if you look at the ruler that I have on here, first thing you will see at 3 centimeters, I've got a left tab. But look there on 15 centimeters, I've got a right tab already there. Now, to insert leaders, you need to double click on that little tab at 15 centimeters, which have already been placed there. And the minute you double click on it, this tabs window will open that I have here on the screenshot. First thing, you need to make sure that you are standing on the 15 centimeters one. You can see there in the middle that my 15 centimeters is selected. Then you go down towards the bottom of this window, and there you will see a leader section, and I have chosen number 2 leader. Then you click on set and OK. Now, how do I apply it? You will see, if you look at the document, my name, the word name, is at 3 centimeters. So after you press your tab key, you type the word name. When you press tab again to go to 15 centimeters, it will automatically add the leader that you can see there. This is everything about tab stops. Are there any questions about tab stops so far? Any questions? You will see in your books. Yeah.
I just quickly want to see if there's a hand. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Kutwanu.
Hello, Kutwanu. How can I help you?
You are self-muted. Can you quickly just unmute yourself? There you go.
Ma'am.
Yes, how can I help you?
Ma'am, there it says 3 centimeters, says 3 to 15.
Yes,
Ma'am,
no, it's not 3 to 15. There's a 3 centimeter left marker and
yes,
a 15 centimeter right marker. The
okay.
leader line I have specifically set as we have just seen.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any more questions?
Do you want to see if there's any more hands? There's one from Nicholas.
Good afternoon, Nicholas. How can I help you?
Afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, I just want to know how many marks could this potentially count for in an exam or test?
You know, it can go up to 6 or 7 marks because they can ask you to put in a left tab, they can ask you to put in a center tab, and they can ask you to put in a right tab with a leader. So it can go right up to 6 or 7 marks. What they do in the exams as well is they don't always tell you where you must put the marker. They show you a screenshot like you see here on the screen now, and then they will tell you, make your document look like that. So you must know how to get it there.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, pleasure.
There was
Anyone
one.
else?
I think it was there's Juan.
Juan.
There's a very high pitched screech in the background, and that is like very distracting, ma'am.
Okay, it's not here from me. Maybe it's your sound that's not correct.
Okay, ma'am. Wait, ma'am, there was a sound.
Okay,
No.
John, we will just see if we can sort that out.
Yeah, thanks.
So I just quickly want to see if there's anybody else.
Okay. Okay, nobody else.
No, it seems like it was all the questions.
Okay, all right, you will see up in your books, this goes right up to page 186, the tabs. All right, now let's carry on. Now we go to indentations. Now we are going to work with those little triangles. You can see there on the screenshot that I've moved the top triangle. That is your first line indent. And if you look at this paragraph that I've shown here on the document, the first line indent means the first line of this whole paragraph has been moved to 2 centimeters. You also get another one, which is called the hanging indent. And there you can see the bottom triangle is moved to 2 centimeters. That means in a paragraph, except for the first line, all the other lines will now be moving up to, with 2 centimeters. If you struggle to use the triangles, you can also use your paragraph dialog box. So you only need to click on the little arrow next to paragraph, and then this window will open, your paragraph window. And if you look in the middle section, there's your indentation section. On the right-hand side, it says special there. If you click on that drop-down arrow, then you can choose either first line or hanging indent there, and you can tell it by how many centimeters you want it to be. If you look on the left-hand side, there you have a left and a right as well. So you can move the whole paragraph up with 2 centimeters from the left or 2 centimeters from the right, depending on what they are asking you. So this is usually also about 1 or 2 marks in an exam. You also get headers and footers. How do you get header and footer? You double click right above the first line of your document. So almost like in the gutter, the top gutter, there you double click. But if you struggle to do that, you can also go to insert headers and footers, and then it will open the header and footer for you. You can add anything into a header and footer, but what I want to specifically show you is how to add a field in a header and footer. Remember that when in the exams they tell you to enter a field, the first thing that you must remember is a field means you are not allowed to type in anything. A field means you use a button which will represent what you want to put in. So let's say, for example, they tell us in the header, we must put the file name and the path. So the first thing you do is in your header and footer, you will now see there's a header and footer toolbar. And on the header and footer toolbar, you will find the quick parts window, the quick parts button. If you click on that, you move down till you get to field, and then this window will open. So on the left-hand side, there's an alphabetical list of all the different fields that you can put in. You can see there's date, there's time, there's many more. But I just want to, as an example, do the file name for you because that is the one that will mostly be asked in an exam. So there you will see there's file name. So you would click on file name. In the middle, you can choose if it must be uppercase, lowercase, first capital or title case. That is not asked very often, but often they do ask you to add a path to the file name. So on the right-hand side, you would just click on that little box there so that there's a tick, and then the path will appear next to the file name. If you click on OK, then the whole file name with the path. And the path means it's on the C drive, in the documents folder, etc., etc. It shows you how to get to the file. It will show in the header. When we mark, we can see if you have typed it in or not. If we click on the text that's in the header and there's a gray field that appears around the text, then we know that you have used a field. If that gray area does not appear, then I'm afraid you will not get your marks because then you have done this manually and not with a field. Tables. Tables is the one place in your exams where we can get, where it can go up to many marks. That is module 3.6 in your books. Because grade 10 hasn't got so much work to do, but we still need to have a certain amount of marks that we need to set up for your exams. The tables is a very popular way to ask something with many marks. So it's really important that you do understand how to do the tables. The first thing that you need to do is you need to go to Insert and Tables. And then when you click on Insert and Table, you will see all these little blocks there. So you can use that option by choosing rows and columns. But the best way, if you do get mixed up between rows and columns, is just to go down below where all these little blocks are and click on Insert Table. When you click on Insert Table, this box will open, and now it's very easy. Now you can just know, okay, I must have 5 columns, 2 rows. You select what you have to select, and you would click on OK. If you look there now on your screen, I have already I've used 5 columns, 2 rows, and I did put some text in it as well. If you keep this in mind now, what we have on the screen, now we are going to work with our tables. And the first thing that you need to know is if you are standing in a table, you will now have table tools. The table tools are the most important buttons that you can use when you are busy with tables, and especially the layout button of your table tools. If we need to change the row height, you can see at the moment I'm standing next to surname. If I want to make that height of that row, the first row, the top row in other words, a bit higher, then I would go to the height. At the moment it's 0.48 centimeters. I can then change it to 1 centimeter or whatever. And the same with the width. If I want to make the surname column a bit smaller, then maybe I would change the width to 2.5, depending on how far it will go. But that is where you change your row heights and your column widths. You need to make sure you are standing in the row or in the column that they want you to change. You don't need to highlight it, you only have to stand in it. You can also change the alignment. So if you look there on your table tools layout, just to the right of where you found the sizes, there's your alignments as well, left, center, right. But here you will also have a vertical top, middle, bottom alignment. And they do like to ask to use vertical alignments in exams. So you need to practice that and make sure that you understand how to do that. When we want to insert new columns, let's say, for example, we want to insert a new column in a table that has already been completed, as I have it there on the screen, between address and email. So how would I do that? I would now, as you can see, I'm standing there on address. This all depends on where you are standing. So if I'm standing on address and I want a new column between address and email, it means that I have to put in a new column to the right of address. So still in your table tools layout, but now more towards the left, you will see there are the buttons insert above, insert below, insert left, insert right. And in this case, it would be an insert right. If I'm standing on email, it would have been insert left. You do exactly the same with rows as well. Now it will depend on which row you are standing, on the top row, on the bottom row, and that would determine if you want to insert above or insert below. Right, when we want to remove a column, you cannot just press delete on your keyboard. It will only delete the content. It will not delete the column itself. So you have to use the delete button, which is in your layout tool. So just to the left of the insert buttons, you will find the delete button. And again, depending on which column or row you are standing, you can just say delete columns or delete rows. You do not have to highlight the whole row or the whole column. You only have to stand in it, and it will then delete what you want deleted. Any questions about tables so far?
Just quickly want to see if there's any hands. There's a question in the question box. I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
I'd like to know which version of Office do you recommend us to work on with regards to the CAT?
Okay, Office 2016 or Office 365, which is the online one, would both be the best to use. They will still accept Office 2013, but it's not ideal because all the exams and everything are now set up in Office 2016. So it might definitely be the better one to use.
Can I use Chromebook?
Can you use
Chromebook. I don't know if that question makes sense to you.
Chromebook? No, I don't think so. I think the Office 2016 or Office 365, those would be the best to use.
Okay. I don't see any other hands or questions at this stage.
Okay, let's carry on with tables. Up to now, we have actually got quite a few marks, but it's not done yet. There are even more marks that we can get. We can also merge cells. In other words, change a few cells into one cell. At the moment, if you look there on the document, I have inserted a row in between the two existing rows, and you can see that it's highlighted. And I have decided I want to make all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells into one cell. So still in your table tools layout, there in the merge section, you would just click on merge cells, and then it would make all those cells into one cell. If you want to split cells, you would just click on a cell, click on split cells and say, okay, I want to split it into 2 cells or something like that. Another one that appears lately is the split table. Sometimes they tell you maybe the last 2 rows of a table must be a separate table. Then you would just highlight the last 2 rows and click on split table, and then it will be split into a separate table. That does appear lately in exams as well, so practice that one too. If you want to select the whole table at once, you must just make sure that your cursor is inside the table, and in the top left of the table you will see there's a little square with a plus sign. If you click on that, the whole table will select. It doesn't matter if the table is so big that it goes over a few pages. It will just highlight it with that one click, which means that you don't have to highlight it manually. It does make it a lot easier. Now, if we want to work a little bit on our creativity and design and just to zhuzh it up a little bit, you can change the borders and the shadings and the grid lines and all those things. So still in table tools, but now in design. So design means you change what it looks like. And the 2 buttons that you will be using the most is the shading button and the borders button. You will see that I have the borders button selected there. So if you click on that, then just like we did last term when we did borders and shading, that window will appear. You click on borders and shading, and the window will appear as you know it. You will see on the left-hand side, it already has selected the all button. So all the borders are selected. Then you just choose a style, you choose a color, you choose a width according to what the question paper says. And then in the preview box, it will show it then to you, and then you will click on OK. I just want to tell you about another way as well. Lately, they've been asking questions such as the outside borders must be blue and the inside borders must be orange. So now we have 2 colors in the same table. So how do we do that? On the left-hand side, there where the all is selected, you would now select custom. So when custom is selected, you choose the color blue, and in your preview box, you click on the outlines. Physically click on the outlines, you will see it appears then as blue. Then you go to orange, you choose orange in color, and then in the middle lines, you click on that, and then the middle lines will appear as orange. And then click on OK. You must make sure that the preview box does show the correct colors and everything, because if it doesn't and you click on OK, it will not make changes in your table. So you must work in your preview box to make sure that it's activated. Now, another one for tables is we can also add a formula, just like in Excel, as you are going to learn just now, we can add formulas in tables as well. So to do that, we are back again to our old friend Table Tools layout. And you will see in the document that I have there at the bottom of the screen, I've created for you a table which have different amounts, 50, 60, 40, 30. And then there's an empty cell below that. Now, if you stand on that cell, now we can add a formula. So on the right-hand side of your Table Tools layout, it's the very last button, which is your formula button. You click on that, and then this window will appear. So at the bottom there where it says paste function, you can click on the drop down arrow and then you can choose sum as I have here. But of course you will find average, minimum, maximum, whatever it is that they ask, but most of the times it will be a sum. And then in brackets, I have just typed the word above. So it means everything above this cell must be added together. And then it will give us the total amount. I have found that many students add it manually and then they just put the amount in that cell. Unfortunately, you will lose that mark then, because if a marker clicks on the total number and once again there's a little gray area that appears around the mark, then we know that you've used the formula function. If there's no gray field around the total, we know that you've typed it in manually, and then unfortunately you will not receive that mark. So make sure that you use the formula, not manually. If we want to sort something, just to the left of your formula, there's your sort button, and then you can say you want to sort it by column 1, by column 2, or by whichever columns it is that you want to sort it by. If you want to have existing text, as I have in the screenshot here below, I've highlighted it. It's Pete Smith with a number and Mary Nell with a number. And in between I have spaces. So it's Pete, space, Smith, space, and a number. I've highlighted that and I want to convert that to a table. So once again, you go to Insert, Table, and then it's more below the insert table, you get convert text to table. You click on that and then this window will open. The most important one that you need to remember right there at the bottom where it says separate text at. You can see that I've selected other and I made a space in that little box because each one of these words are separated by a space. It can be separated by a comma, by a tab, seldom by paragraphs. So you just need to make sure what are these texts separated with, and then just choose the correct option. And then you can say, okay, I want 3 columns and 2 rows will automatically show. And then that will put it all in a table. Any questions on tables so far?
There was a question in the question box. Are you able to use tab stops in a table?
You are, but it will. You will not find that in exams. They will not ask that in exams.
What if your word borders and shading does not have customs?
It will have a custom. I've never seen one without custom. You must just make sure that your table is selected.
Okay. Then was the in our tests and examinations, do we have to know all the definitions?
For the theory, yes. They can ask any of the practical definitions in a theory paper.
Okay. Then I see Nicholas' hand is raised.
Hello, Nicholas. How can I help you?
Hello again, ma'am. I was wanted to know, like, if you have, let's say they want you to give your average, minimum, and your maximum. And so when you want to do your minimum, would you have how would you calculate that without getting your average inside?
Exactly the same. You just go down that list there where I showed you the list where you find average and so on. You just go down the list to the M's and you'll find minimum there. You just click on minimum and it will automatically put it in there for you. And then you just say above.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
It's a pleasure. Any
Just
more
another
questions?
question in the question box. It's just asking which paper has more marks, the theory or the practical?
The practical has got more marks, it's 150, and the theory will be 120.
Okay, that's the only. Paula, do you want to ask a question?
For Excel, must we know all our formulas?
Some of them I am getting to the Excel just now, so then I will explain what you need to know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
It seems like Nicholas wants to ask you one more question.
Okay, Nicholas.
No, ma'am, I don't put my hand up.
Oh, okay. Apologies. Okay, sorry.
Okay, we just want to hear your voice. Okay, let us carry on. You will see the practical module for all these tables is on page 210 and 211 of your books. So please work on that. Do that activity. It's a good one as well, and it really, really helps when you need to prepare for your exams. Okay, let's start with Excel. So this term, you guys are starting with Excel. And this is what Excel looks like. It uses rows and columns. If you look at the top arrow, it points towards the F. So all that A, B, C, D, E, F are columns. And the letters indicate which column it is, column headings, in other words. If you look at the bottom arrow, it points towards number 10. Those are the rows. I just want to give you a way quickly how to remember the difference between rows and columns, because some students do get mixed up with that. I'm sure that all of you know the song, Row, row, row your boat gently up the stream. I'm not a good singer, but I'm sure that you get the idea. If you think of a boat that is rowing on a river or on a piece of water or something like that, it cannot go up and down, because if it goes down, it sinks and it stays at the bottom. So it has to row across to be able to go to the other side. So that is how you know that the cross lines are the rows, and the vertical, the up and down lines, those then will be your columns. So that is how you can remember the difference. Now, when we enter data, it means you just type in the cell. So you stand on cell A1 and you type whatever you need to do. What you also need to know is that formulas always start with an equal sign. We know it as 1 + 1 = 2, but in Excel it will be equals 1 + 1, and then if you press enter it will give you the answer of 2. If you don't put the equal sign there, Excel will just see this as characters, and it won't know that you actually wanted to make a calculation. When doing formulas, we use cell numbers. So we do not say 1 + 1. We say A3 + A4, if those are the cell numbers that we want to add. And then we also use plus, minus. The asterisk is multiplication, and then the / is your division. If you look on your keyboard, on the right-hand side, right next to the number pad, there you will see the /, the asterisk, the minus, and the plus. You can also use those that are above the numbers in the normal part of your keyboard if you do not have a number pad. Okay, how does a function look like? So it starts, as I've already mentioned, with an equal sign. then what is the function name, and then what cell numbers do we need to use. Now the basic functions we will find in home and auto sum. So if you click on the auto sum drop down arrow as I have done here, you will see sum, average, count numbers, maximum, minimum, and you are going to use all 5 of them in exams. So make sure that you know exactly where they are. So if you click on the cell where the formula must be, you could then choose auto sum. If you look on the screenshot, in A1, I've got the number 10, in A2, I've got the number 20, and in A3, I've got the number 30. So I am now standing in A4, and I want to add the above three cells. So I'm standing in that cell, I go to auto sum, and I click on sum. Then automatically the formula will appear in cell A4. All that we now need to do is to make sure if the range is correct. You can see at the moment it tells us it wants to add from A1 to A3. If it is correct, you press enter and it will give you the answer. If the range is not correct, because remember, Excel puts it down automatically what it thinks it should be, but sometimes it's not what you want. If you want to add, for example, only A2 and A3, then in the formula you would change the A1 to A2. So you need to make sure that your cell references are correct. Now, when you do formatting, it's exactly the same as Word that we have been doing up to now. So if you look on the home ribbon, there you have your font styles. At the moment, it's Calibri. The font size, at the moment, 11. Below that, you have your bold, italic, underline. Right next to that is your borders and shading. Right next to that is your shading itself, so it shows like a little bucket. And then next to that, there's your font colors. Next to that, there's your alignments, the left, center, right. But in Excel, they also like to use vertical, top, middle, and bottom. So that's just above the left, center, right. So it's exactly as you know it. Nothing strange, nothing different. When we change the format of data in a cell, you need to right-click on that cell. I usually tell my students, I don't know if any of my own students are here on the webinar as well, but you will hear that I will regularly tell you, if you are in trouble with Excel and with formatting, you right-click and you choose Format Cells, because there are many things you can do in Format Cells. On the left-hand screenshot that I've put here, that is what appears when you've clicked on Format Cells. So now we can choose, we want to change the format of the number. So you, in that category list, you click on number. You can choose the amount of decimal places that you want it to be. You can decide if you want to have 1,000 separated. You can decide how do you want the number to look like if it is a negative number. Do you want it to show a minus in front, or do you just want it to be red? That is the formatting then that you would choose. In the right-hand box, it's already a Format Cells, but I've chosen currency in the category. So now you would be able still to choose the amount of decimal places. Which symbol do you want? In this case, we want the R because we are in South Africa. But sometimes they ask you to change it to a euro or a pound or something like that. Then you would just choose it from that list. And once again, what must the negative number look like? They don't ask a lot about the negative numbers. It's usually the decimal places and the symbols or the 1,000 separators. Many times they ask you to put in, for example, a cell number. Now you all know that the cell number starts with 0. Excel is a mathematical program, and when you do maths, a 0 in front of a number means nothing. So Excel will automatically throw away the 0, even if you type it in front of the cell numbers. But because we do not want to do any calculation with a cell number, we just want the number there. We really do want the 0 in front. That means we have to change the format of the number as a text. So you would right-click on it once again, format cells, click on text. And now Excel will just see it as text characters. Now if you type a 0 in front of it, to the Excel's mind, it's no longer a number, and then the 0 will stay there. You can also change the date format. So in format cells, you go to date, and in the right-hand box, there you have the different date formats. Please don't look on the date itself. It's the format that we are worried about. So if they tell you it must be a format that's typed out in full, you would choose the bottom option. So it depends on how they ask you. The format of the date must look like. Autofill is really a very nice function. You can see there in A1 that I have typed the word Monday, and it is selected. Therefore, it's got that square around it. But if you look in the bottom right of the square, it looks as if there is a little extra piece. A mouse in Excel takes the form of a fat cross. So if you put that cross or plus sign on that little extra piece of highlighted area, as I've shown there, then your cursor becomes a thin cross. And now if you hold down your mouse button and you drag it down, it will autofill the Monday. It means it will say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you only need to learn how to spell Monday. Excel will automatically fill it down for you, but I'm just making a joke here. You must learn the spelling of everything as well. You can do it with January, and it will autofill to February, March, April, May. And this, of course, saves a lot of time. Not in grade 10 necessarily so, but from grade 11 or grade 12, the exam papers becomes quite long for the time that you are allowed to do it in. So from grade 10, you need to learn how to not waste time. And that is one way of doing stuff quickly. You can also change the printer settings. In other words, they do not want you to print, they only want you to change the settings for your printing. So to do that, you go into your page layout tab, and then you click on the page setup dialog box, and the page setup window will open. If they tell you that the document, the Excel spreadsheet, must be printed only on one page, in the page setup window, more or less in the middle next to underneath scaling, you will see it says there fit to, and then one page wide and one page tall. Remember, at the moment, as it is on the screen, it's not activated. So if you leave it like that, you will not get the mark. You need to activate it by clicking in that little circle to the left of fit to, so that it becomes a dark circle, and then it is activated. You can also change the grid line or repeat row and column headings at the top of each row. So still in your page setup window, same one, you would now go to the sheet tab, which is the last one. So there you can, in the middle, select grid lines, row and column headings, depending what they ask. What they do like to ask as well is that you maybe repeat row 1 at the top of all the pages. So let's say, for example, your spreadsheet is 10 pages long and they want row 1 to be printed at the top of each page. So if you go there towards the top of this window, it says there rows to repeat at top. You click on that little red button on the right-hand side. You click on row 1 and again on the red button, and then the formula for row 1 will automatically appear in that window, and then it will print the first row on all the pages. If you do not want to use the page setup, you can use the buttons that is on your page layout. So if you look there towards the right, there you can choose the grid lines and the row and column headings. You would just select that print square. Or if you go more towards the left, there where it says print titles, if you click on that, then the same sheet window will open and you can choose what it is that you want it to print. On page 238 and 248 are all these activities for Excel. Please make sure that you understand all the Excel properly, because Excel is becoming huge. In grade 11, it's one of the biggest programs, and in grade 12, it's one of the programs where most people struggle with. So make sure that you understand all the basics that you are learning here in grade 10, because it will make your life a lot easier when you get to grade 11 and grade 12. Are there any questions? Let's start first with the Excel, what we have just done.
There was a question in the question box. Just quickly want to read it to you. Will we have to work with formulas that involve databases or just simple formulas?
It will just be simple formulas. Databases is usually only part of grade 11 work, so definitely no formulas with databases, with database.
Okay. Then if we do activities for CAT on our computer, do we need to print it out, or can we just put it on the CD, or do we have to save it on our computer?
You can just save it on your computer. The activities that is in your book is for your own revision to use. If you see that you can't do an activity or you're not sure, you will see on the CD that you do get with your book, there's also a folder called Solutions, and you will find the answer then to, or the solution to the activity in there as well. I usually tell my students they're only allowed to use the solution when they have done everything they can to try and work out this activity. And when all else fails and they really cannot get it right, then only must they go to solutions. Otherwise, it's spoon feeding, and that you guys don't remember that. So first struggle with it and then go and have a look at the solutions.
Okay, then it's just a question, will Word 2003 be okay to use?
No, not at all. It's not accepted anymore. So if there are functions that they want you to do in Office 2016, which is not in 2003, you will lose that mark because you're not allowed to use 2003 anymore.
Okay, then how much marks will the Excel be?
Oh, that depends. It will be about a quarter to a third of your paper at this stage.
There was one hand up. Juan, do you have a question?
Are we allowed to use autosave in an exam?
Yes, you are allowed to use autosave. You're also allowed to use the help function, provided it's not connected to the internet.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Just want to see if there's any more hands. Okay, I don't see any other hands.
Okay. All right, guys, that is then my story for today. I hope that it helped a little bit with the extra, with the new word that you had to do, and then of course you're starting with Excel. So good luck with that. Study hard. Make sure that you know all this work. But the activities I cannot stress enough in the books. Do them all. It really helps to prepare for exams because it is good activities. And then if there's another webinar, I'll see most of you again. And if you are not registered with IMPAC, please contact us at info@impac.co.za. And thank you for listening and attending. And good luck with all your studies and good luck with the exams. Goodbye, everybody.